Your destination is on the left.
Corin! Hey, what's happening, man? Good to see you. Just so everybody gets to see us meet, my name is Corin.
Artie.
Great to meet you again.
Yeah, good to meet you. Good to
Go back a little ways.
Yeah.
How's your day going?
Good, man. Pretty mellow.
Yeah?
Yeah, pretty kicked back.
Yeah, thanks for showing us the sweet ride.
Yeah, man. So are we going in a ride later, or did we already go for a ride?
I know we're going to go on a ride later.
All right,
yeah,
good.
yeah. When the weather's a little bit better than it is right now, I can tell you that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's really sweet. We'll be looking forward to that ride.
Yeah.
But what I'm looking forward to is finding out a little bit more about you from a life story perspective.
Okay.
You know, there's so many curiosities because we've had a chance to chat a couple of times over the last few days, and what a magnificent family history you have, which is really, really cool.
Yeah, yeah.
So before we get into where you were born and that kind of thing, I'd love to go even further back to before you were born.
Okay.
And just get a little load of your family history and where you come from and how far they go back.
All right. Are you talking about American history?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So, the historic part of my family came here in the 1600s. They bought, I believe, we were talking about like 1,000 acres, but it could have been
hectares. It could have
hectares.
been, yeah.
Because I wanted to say 10,000 acres, which it could have been, right on the Brandywine River in Westchester.
Wow.
Yeah, Pennsylvania. You know, dude, when they the classic story, when they showed up, they had to hole up in a cave near the property, just to ride out the winter. And the local Native Americans came and helped take care of them. They showed up with food, they showed up with blankets, you know, right off the bat.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah. But they settled, built a house that was finished in 1704 that the family still owns, where we all pitch in on it. It's kind of a museum now.
Yeah.
But, yeah, the Battle of Brandywine was fought on our property, and we're a bunch of Quakers.
Yeah, that's
Dude.
right. See, that's
Yeah.
the really interesting part.
Yeah.
And how does that make it interesting?
Well, you know, is it conscientious objectors? Quakers don't believe in war or anything to do with war.
Right.
That was even, you know, even to the point of, you know, going out to set out an ox cart so that one side can carry your dead away. You're kicked out,
right,
if you do that. But then, you know, what do? You know, you've been here for over 100 years. You've poured a lot. You got a lot of sweat equity into, you know, your homestead here and the beginning of a country. And here comes the revolution, literally in your front, back, and side yard. You know, but you don't believe in war. What do?
Right.
Some of the families split and picked up arms and fought.
Wow.
one of the guys, one of our family, Thomas Cheney, man, if it wasn't for him, Washington would have been captured then.
Really?
Yeah, Thomas Cheney was like the Paul Revere of, he was the Paul Revere of Brandywine. He knew they were coming.
Yeah.
Washington thought they were approaching from a different direction, but he saw them crossing the Brandywine River near our house.
Yeah.
And they even shot at him when he was racing by. He goes up to one of the houses, talks to a general. General doesn't believe him. They never knew what side of the fence Thomas Cheney was on in the first place.
Right.
You know, because he played it really well. But sure enough, he winds up, he moves over and decides to talk to Washington directly, dude. And Washington didn't believe him either, because they thought they knew exactly where they were coming from.
Right.
And Cheney said, you know what? Lock me up. Go check it out. If I'm lying, whatever you want, keep me locked up. But I'm not lying. So Washington decided to investigate it.
Yeah.
Sure enough, they were coming to attack. We didn't win Brandywine.
Darth Vader's coming. That's hilarious.
Jason Vader. Sorry, guys.
No worries.
I know better than that. Yeah, so Washington went and checked it out. Man, yeah, we lost that war, but we were able to keep Washington on our side.
Right.
I just turned that on vibrate too.
It's hilarious. It's a great comedic interlude. You gotta roll with it.
I'm a big fan, right? Here, sleep mode.
And man, and so from that point, I mean, we're talking about at the times of the Revolutionary War, and then what happened with the family from that point forward, because there must have been some schisms within the family itself during that time period.
Yeah,
a bit.
yeah. Well, that's what I'm investigating it more, but basically, family was shutting out family.
Yeah.
Disowning them.
Yeah.
They lost their friendship meeting hall card, basically.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yes, I get it. Yeah.
Rockefeller was one of us.
Mm-hmm.
General McClellan,
Mm-hmm.
who was the original Union Army commander. He kind of assembled the army. And,
Yeah.
There's a picture of Lincoln firing him at the end of
Really?
Antietam. Yeah, there's a picture of him and Lincoln under a tent at Antietam. And Lincoln didn't care for McClellan because McClellan wasn't aggressive enough.
Right.
He was a little too cautious. He cared about his army. He cared about his men.
Yeah. Well, the fighting style back then was just ridiculous. I mean, it was just maximum death on both sides.
Oh, yeah.
You know, the way that they were going about fighting wars back then. You know, that from then even into the Civil War was still just a bunch of guys lined up across a field from each other, just taking pop shots at one another. Best aim wins.
Yeah, at people they know, even.
It's crazy.
You know, I mean, all those generals pretty much went to school together.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And that was the other thing. I know what Lee's going to do.
Right.
Well, I know what McClellan's going to do. But, you know.
And so where'd your family end up going at that point? Like, how'd the family tree come up to you?
All right, so the Brintons were just living just north of the Mason-Dixon line.
Mm-hmm.
The Glackens had settled. They came from Ireland, settled in like right as the Revolutionary War was breaking out. They settled just south of the Mason-Dixon line.
Yeah.
My grandfather, Glacken, met my grandmother, and they were sweethearts from the start. And my grandmother was the Brinton. And that was the merger right there.
Right. Well, this would have been like a great grandmother or something like that, right?
No, this is my grandmother's grandmother.
Oh, your grandmother's
the
grandmother.
Brinton, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, gotcha. Yeah.
So from there, man, my sister does all of our family history.
Really, that's cool.
Which isn't too hard because a lot of it's documented.
Yeah.
Right? luckily.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're like direct descendants of 9 people from who were key players with the Revolution, not to mention the Civil War.
Right.
You know, and I'm kind of on the fence. Listen, before I realized my family was all, my roots were Quaker, I kind of felt it in the first place, you know. I get into arguments, but I really don't want to hit anybody.
Right.
You know what I mean?
No, I totally get it. Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's just it's an absurd way to deal with things.
Yeah.
It's a ridiculous way. Violence just begets violence, and
right.
And then the conversation is completely lost.
Right. Exactly.
You know. Yeah. I mean, when studying history and stuff, I mean, wars were fought over women, or cheating, or somebody stole this from this king, or that somebody didn't pay this back for a loan that they. I mean, like all the craziest stuff where you're like, that's a personal problem.
Right.
Why are you bringing everybody else into it? You know?
Yeah, exactly.
It's wild. So you said that. Do you ever get back to the old family place at all?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Can I drop the F-bomb every once in a while?
Sure, of course you can.
Fuck yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, man. I can't. Any chance I get.
That's so cool.
And the best thing is, being family. The house is full of all these relics that. My great grandfather brought over from England.
Yeah.
And they're all museum pieces.
Yeah.
But, when I go through the house, they're like, "Your family here, handle it." I'm like,
that's so
cool, man.
Yeah. That's really rad.
Yeah, like stuff he originally came over on the boat with. It's still there. The house is furnished like it was back then.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah. Well, a lot of the stuff disappeared because. The American generals were in our houses.
Yeah.
But then when the Hessians came through, they kind of took a lot of stuff out of
that was part of the deal.
Right. They just took stuff.
Yeah.
So we had to, family historians and the family just kind of got everything together.
Yeah. And then consolidated it into the one space.
And then refurnished the house.
So it's such a great idea. Well, then that basically kind of brings us up to you then. So where were you born?
Florida.
Okay.
Which is weird. Dude, right before I was born, my mom and dad moved to near Orlando.
Okay.
And so I was born in Winter Park, and then when I was 1, we moved to St. Pete Beach, Florida.
Oh, that's not bad.
Tampa Bay area.
Yeah, sure.
I had no idea growing up there how good it was.
Right.
I wanted to be in LA.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Well, before we go there, what did your parents do for a living? What was
Well, my dad was an attorney.
Uh-huh.
He ran a bank for a little bit, and then he became the attorney in town. He was the kind of guy who liked to help the community out.
Yeah.
He was more of a defensive attorney.
Mm-hmm.
And he was really well loved. He fought Air Force in Korea.
Okay.
Right when they became the Air Force.
They
were Army Air Corps before
That's
that.
right, Army Air Corps.
And he had a lot of horror stories that kind of messed him up.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, Korea was not a pleasant. Wasn't any more or less pleasant than Vietnam.
No,
put it that way.
Yeah. Right. You're still losing friends.
Yeah. Yes. Oh.
Yeah.
And horribly politicized confrontations.
Right.
Yeah. So when you were growing up, was your mom more of that atomic nuclear family stay-at-home mom, or was she doing stuff as well, or?
No, we had a nanny.
Oh, okay.
I forget the movie that came out about this kids in the 60s being raised by African American nannies.
Uh-huh. I don't recall.
It was well known. Anyway.
So you had a nanny that
she raises my mom was helping my dad, Ruth. Dude, Ruth. And I don't know where she went. That's the bummer, man.
Yeah. What was she like when you were growing up?
Man, she was wonderful. She was more, I hate to say this, Mom. But she was basically our mom growing up.
Yeah.
Because she was there all day. We'd come home from school. She'd have our snacks ready, take us for a nap. She'd, you know, be the adult there to talk with us about school and all that.
Yeah.
And The Help. The Help is the movie.
Oh, The Help. Yeah, of course. Sure.
It was very much like that.
Yeah.
We loved her, and then I don't know, just one day she's gone, and we had another one.
Yeah.
And you know, you grow really attached.
Right.
And all of a sudden, she's gone, which is kind of weird. I've always wanted to find her.
Yeah. I wonder if you. Oh yeah. Well, I mean, I'm sure you could probably find her full name at least from maybe your parents' old records.
Yeah,
or
I don't
something
even know
of
her
that
last
time
name.
period. Yeah. That would be amazing, wouldn't it?
Right? Yeah, I want to track her down. And there's one other dude I want to track down. All right. I might sidetrack a little bit, but you might like the story.
Yeah, sure. I'd love to hear it.
So when busing happened,
Yes.
I was going into middle school or junior high, and you know, we were bussed out to a pretty sketchy part of town.
Mm-hmm.
You know, kids would come in from the neighborhood, bigger kids, and you know, I'd be walking to the bathroom. They'd take the watch I just got for Christmas.
Right.
That happened twice. Me and my little sister were at this school, 16th Street, and my mom and dad pulled us out and put us to Northside Christian into a private school. Big private school. Great school. One black kid in the whole school.
Wow.
One, named Anthony. Was my best friend.
Yeah.
Right? So, of course, I'm inviting him over to the house.
Yeah.
And we hang out at my place for, you know, a couple times, and then I get the talk from my mom that I couldn't have him over anymore. And I said, why? And she said, well, you know, the neighbors. What are the neighbors going to say? Which sound, I mean...
No, it sounds crazy.
To actually hear that,
yeah,
you know?
Yeah, it's crazy.
And I didn't get it.
Absolutely crazy.
I didn't get it.
Yeah.
I didn't understand.
Yeah.
That's like, I haven't seen him since then.
Wow.
You know?
Yeah, you definitely want to try and figure out a way to reach out and like, that would be amazing to be able to reach out and find him again. Yeah. That would be incredible.
I mean, it was a pretty, you know, a lot of prejudice down there when I was growing up.
Yeah.
I didn't understand it. I think starting with my generation, we were more open to it. Even though I had, you know, been ripped off a few times, hand to hand.
Yeah.
Still, you know, I've been told I'm woke. Kelly Perrine says I'm woke.
That's hilarious. Yeah, you know, I think, you know, well, if you're not afraid to have these kind of conversations, I think that you could say that we're all woke here in this place, in this space right here, to be able to join in getting to know one another better. You know, that's what it's all about. Because in the same sense, you know, I when I was growing up in the South as well, I just happened to be, you know, closer to more like urban center stuff. It was I lived in very, you know, very diverse apartment complexes, you know, because they were predominantly sort of low income. Some were subsidized, but you know, and it was just a plethora of who's who and who's who. And my mom was in the music business as well growing up, you know, so it was like I grew up in an extremely liberal household, you know, super liberal, and you know, and I know that when I would go and see some family that like distant family in Arkansas, you know, I would hear the type of language that you're talking about, or the type of attitudes that you're talking about, and it's like it's literally shocking. But it was so few. It was like 1, 2, 3 people that I knew when I was growing up, and but it is strange that that they, you know, I feel like that we've grown past that at this point. You know, I feel like our generation below that and everything, I feel like we've grown past that at this point.
A lot of us have, yeah. Our generation, sure. When I go back home, anyone older than me is still using the N-word.
That's crazy.
You know? And then here's brother who's been in LA for 30 plus years.
Yeah.
You know, I'm going to say something.
Right, of course.
You know? I mean, I love them. I'm not mean about it.
Yeah.
But it's like, come on, guys.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
It's not cool.
Well, when you were in high school and all that, what were you thinking about for your life? What were you thinking about for your future?
Oh, dude, I was such a TV and movie nut.
Yeah.
Growing up, as it's gonna sound this is gonna mark me as a geek for sure. If you didn't know, Star Wars, man. I went and saw Star Wars in the theater and was blown away.
Me too.
And yeah. Because I mean, before that it was pretty much Star Trek.
Well, you know, you think Logan's Run came out the same year that Star Wars came out. There, you know, so it's like the advancement in technology that they applied to Star Wars versus what they were still doing at the same time in Logan's Run. It looks like they're 10 years apart.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. But that made me want to be a filmmaker. In high school, I started acting in productions, and then became a part of like this semi-pro theater group outside of school, and got a lead role. I played Abner in Little Abner.
Oh, sure.
In the musical.
Yeah.
And man, I never had any. I rarely had much positive feedback from my mom.
Right.
My mom was a disciplinarian. My dad was the sweetheart. I didn't think she had ever believed in anything I did. Well, you know, they got tickets for like the second night because they didn't want to show up the first night. Of course, after opening night, there they are. Or no. When I got home, I walked in. They were dressed up, and it kind of confused me. And they said, "Well, we went tonight. We didn't want you to know that we were there."
Yeah.
And they just went on, and my mom went on. I had no idea you could sing. I had no idea you could do that. And all of a sudden, bam! This is it. This is what I love.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Especially getting that.
Yeah, man.
Appreciation from that. But even more so, I always wanted to do films. My buddies and I were always making little films. You know.
Yeah.
Growing up. Sorry. I don't think I kicked it very hard. All right.
this was supposed to be the 2-shot. So if it's not the 2-shot anymore, then we're in trouble.
Still a 2-shot.
Beautiful.
Kick a stand, go to jail.
Get you in the frame though.
Yeah, I have these things far too tight in on us. But
yeah.
What are we gonna do?
We can
it's
work
GoPros.
Yeah. Yeah. No. So, you know, I was going to school at Florida State. My big brother, who was the owner of this car,
Yeah.
astrophysicist, was living in California, and said, you know, come live with us for about a year, see, you know, check it out. And of course, I never went back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what's having your parents suddenly recognize something you were passionate about and suddenly give you approval of it, especially if you're being raised, you know, more by nannies a lot of the time. There's definitely an emotional split that happens as a kid.
Yeah.
You know, but feeling like, well, they didn't show up opening night, they didn't show up tonight, when they suddenly gave you that acknowledgement. Well, I mean, what did that do for you?
Dude, that was huge. It's like better than ecstasy, man. All my synapses were firing this way. No, it was overwhelming, man. That's you know, it made me love it even more.
Yeah.
That response made me love it even more. You know?
And so that's when you were like, okay, I gotta pursue this. What was that journey like after that? You know, the choices you made. I mean, it's either go to college, learn some type of something you can apply, you know,
really into something you can make money doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Well, I bailed college and went to LA.
Yeah.
My parents weren't behind it at all.
Mm-hmm.
As most intelligent parents, you know, aren't, because it's such a sketchy world to go into.
Oh, it's a sketchy world to stay into.
Yeah. But if you can do it, and you just got to constantly reinvent yourself.
We got a little friend here. That's adorable. It's hilarious.
He wants to play with a stick.
You have to go out there and keep him busy, Chad.
He wants to play with that stick, buddy.
So pursuing, doing that, going against, you know, obviously parents can be like that, and it's like, don't do it. I mean,
dude, I tried to go the route they suggested, but I just didn't feel it, you know. And it just wasn't happening.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah, moving out to LA, got a job as a tour guide at Universal Studios.
Right.
Learned how the studio ran. You know, as a tour guide, you get to meet everybody.
Yeah, it's pretty smart. That's
Dude,
pretty.
yeah.
It's a pretty slick move.
Yeah, we're sitting. You know, one night we're sitting with Charlton Heston watching the Warlord, and he's telling us about his experiences. Bogdanovich, we get to go to his office and chat with him about Hitchcock. You know. And Foley, I remember when Miami Vice came out, dude.
Yeah. That was a huge hit.
Yeah. They, my buddy and I went down to see him do Foley for that. That was my introduction to that. Yeah. It was cool.
So you were doing Foley?
No, just learning it.
Yeah.
Just to learning the process.
Yeah.
You know,
it's all like digitized now. I mean, there's probably very few working Foley stages left in America that do the original style. Probably
I've
very
seen
few,
a few, man.
I would hope they still do it. Foley is when you make the noises for sounds in movies and stuff that you can't hear but want to hear.
Yeah, like this. Oh shit! I just kicked the camera again.
That's all right. That should be about right. How did you find LA to be as a creative environment to live in?
Oh, dude, it's very creative.
Yeah.
You know, especially. I don't know if this is normal for everybody, but man, the group of friends that formed while I was there, bouncing ideas off of each other. I mean, it was all creative.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, no, I loved it. I don't feel it as much here.
Right.
We're in the Biloxi area.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean it's a tough place to, you know, it got for me it just got harder and harder to survive out there and maintain some type of living standard that was, you know, I felt was acceptable.
Right.
You know, just the price of living there just kept going up and up
Huge.
and up and
And the business is fickle. I mean,
so fickle.
The only way I've been able to make it through, bro, is just being able to do different things.
Yeah.
You know, I was into features, but, you know, I won't turn my nose up to a television show.
Sure.
Or, you know, I got into the recreation stuff, starting with Unsolved Mysteries for a while. And, you know, those were always good for some money.
It's a great gig,
Yeah. I like to produce and direct, but, you know, I got a lot of work as a first AD. Not my preferred position, but I'll tell you, man, being in there, in the trenches, making it happen with everybody else, and then seeing the final result is, you know, it's so rewarding.
Yeah, it is rewarding. Absolutely. Yeah, no matter which department you worked on.
Right. Nobody gets hurt.
Yep.
You know, I have a pretty good safety record on my shows.
I love that.
Yeah.
Love that, man.
Yeah.
And what was the catalyst that took you out of LA? I mean, I know what mine was. I have it.
Yeah.
You know, I'm curious.
Yeah, I should interview you next.
No, oh God, that's too long. We don't have enough memory space.
I had gotten hurt. I was doing this show in Northern California called I Almost Got Away with It. And, you know, they brought me in to try to up the production value.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, one of the ways you up production value is make sure the camera's rolling more often.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure you're planned out. Make sure that you're moving. You're not wasting time. Time equals value.
Oh,
right?
Yeah.
So, you know, I had a small team, so I was jumping in to help the crew with moves, you know.
Yeah.
The
company moves.
Company
moves
and such. And man, at the end of season 2, forgetting how weak I was and how tired I was, I went to pick up 2 putt-putt generators, tweaked my shoulder. Next thing you know, I'm out for 2 years.
Wow.
And while I was out for 2 years, I had a bunch of things lined up.
Yeah.
I was going to help Clint Howard direct his first film.
Wow.
With Ron backing him.
Right.
But, you know, all the things that I had set up fell through. And there you are. Once again, the freelance business, you know, what do you do? So I said, screw this. I packed up my stuff, went home. My mom wasn't doing well, stayed with her. And then I got a call to go to Mississippi to help our buddy Jeremy with a short film.
Yeah.
And while I was there, heard about a producer opening for commercials. So
Oh, right on.
got the regular job going, got the benefits, and I figured, you know, lay low, quiet space, inexpensive space.
Yeah.
It's like less than 50% of what it is to live in LA.
Oh, yeah.
Here.
Yeah, way less.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, you know, set up for the rest of my life here,
Right.
you know, while I'm doing this.
And how did you feel? Was there a sense of relief in that, too, at the same time?
Yeah, there's a sense of relief, but there's also a sense of, what the fuck are you doing, Artie?
Oh, same here.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I've woken up in Spring, Texas plenty of mornings.
Yeah.
But I know I'm there for my kids. You know what I mean?
Right.
If I didn't have kids and we're trying to raise them in a different environment than Los Angeles, because growing up and as a young teenager and all that in LA, I just didn't want my kids to have the same flows and stuff that was happening out there, because it's just such a fast-paced lifestyle.
Yeah.
You grow up.
It's not the best place to raise,
You know.
raise kids.
Yeah. It's a wild place.
Yeah.
So that I know was the right choice, but certainly like you're aware. I mean, it's a killer on the career.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
rough.
Yeah.
Rough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter how much work you have,
Yeah, it doesn't.
you know? And that's the other thing was, dude, I became the guy who could bring in the low budget films on schedule. You know, when I first got there, I had this philosophy. Well, man, you make a film, you bring it on budget, looks good, you know, boom. I'll start getting the bigger budget.
Exactly.
No. You got to call Blacken, because he can make it happen for you, and he's not expensive.
Yeah. Oh yeah, exactly.
You know?
Exactly. Yeah.
But
For sure.
It wasn't really about the money, though.
No.
It was about the passion.
It is, but it does become a grind when, you know what I mean, when the exchange is still, you're just always that next.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
You know, just
And
the endless foot race.
It is, and then a lot of times you're kind of fighting a losing battle because, especially in independence. I mean, how many producer directors are first timers? You know, who hire you to advise them, but then they don't get it and they don't listen, and then you got to watch them making the same mistakes as the last ones. And that's tough.
It is tough.
Yeah.
Well, what's been the thing that's kept you motivated and going? You know, continuing to have a passion for it. What is it that's kept you still?
There's nothing else I know how to do.
Right.
I can do a lot in our business, but
Right.
man, I'm just out of touch with it outside.
Yeah. I feel the same.
I just love it, dude.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, somebody asked me what my hobbies were as we were on our way to set to shoot a spot, and I said, I'm kind of doing it, man. You know?
Yeah. Exactly.
I mean, that's the way to be.
Yeah.
We all have to work. We all have to make money.
Yeah.
If you're doing something you enjoy, there's still work involved. It's not going to all be fun, but that's where the money comes in.
Yeah. Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. Well, what would you, to someone else, who's in a situation like you were in, what kind of recommendation would you give to them that they might be able to chew on? Say if they were, the 18, 19-year-old you headed out to LA to try and make something happen. What would you recommend them?
Besides turn around and go home.
Yeah, besides that.
I don't want to
besides
be one
the
of
obvious.
those, but we don't need competition. Man, you know what? If you don't have that go-getter, can-do attitude, forget it. You know, if you can't be part of a team to make things happen, forget it. You know, if you're not down with the struggle, You got to know it's always a struggle. I don't think I've been on one project that hadn't had some struggle to it. You know, we're all passionate about making something good. If you're not into that, forget it. You know, but I'd say if somebody was starting in the business, even if you went to film school, work as a production assistant on a few gigs. You know, because film school doesn't really teach you how a real set runs or a lot of set protocol.
Yeah, of course not.
Right, yeah. The business part, even.
Yeah.
You know? Get to know... when I started out there, I'd PA on different things with different departments. And I got to know what each department did, you know? And that just kind of moved me into being a first AD because you got to kind of orchestrate everybody. You got to understand what they do.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it's my sister.
Power of the edit.
My man, thank you so much for joining us, dude. I really appreciate it, dude. All the hospitality and everything else. This is a great dude. Great dude. And it's lovely to see you again, my friend.
Let's go for a ride!
Let's do it!
Cut. Okay, now see this? There. These little nubs right up.
So you gotta walk around this car with me here and tell me a little bit about what we're looking at.
Oh, okay. Alright.
Grab onto that.
So 1976 Fiat Spider, 55,000 miles, mostly a California car. Signed, well, we'll see that. Designed by Pininfarina. They make Ferraris.
What year is this?
1976.
But the designer specifically
Signed this for my big brother, Tom Fiarda, if I'm pronouncing it right. Yeah, my brother goes to car shows and he met him and he brought that in from the sign.
That's incredible.
All original. Still got the owner's manual. You know, I was in the garage in California for a long time. My brother would only take it out like every other weekend.
Right.
In good weather, but in LA there's always good weather.
Always good weather.
Right.